Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Dion's Daily Dose. Before we get started, I do want to send a special shout out to all the steel workers that have been laid off. I have personal friends who work in different mills, and I know you guys are struggling right now. My heart goes out to you. If there's anything that I can do for you, let me know. Just know that there are people out there thinking about you, and thoughts and prayers are with you. I know it's hard right now. I'm really hoping that we can get the economy started back up and there won't be another round. So today we have a special episode. We got a special guest. Sara, hold on. Let me bring her on so I can make sure. How do you say your last name? Because I don't want to mess it up.
It's Bloom, like a flower, like bloom.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I just wanted to make sure. I messed it up before.
That's
Okay. Sara Blohm is joining us. She is actually running for District 4, which is Chesterton area, right? A little bit bigger than Chesterton.
Yeah, it's Valparaiso, Center Township, Union Township, and Washington Township. And then there's a little bit of like Liberty and Jackson Township.
All right, cool. So you are running against an incumbent, right?
Yes,
okay,
correct.
And his name is Soliday, right?
Ed Soliday, correct.
Okay,
yes.
So what made you decide to run?
Great question. I get that one a lot.
Right.
I am a veteran. I was in the Army, and so I have a very strong bond and loyalty to my country. And I just kind of felt that this was a step for me to continue that call of duty. And I just said, I kind of just felt called to do it. I feel that conservative voices out there are kind of getting ignored and smashed a little bit. So I feel like we kind of need to rise up and run for offices and be in committees and, make Facebook pages. And so that we can kind of, I don't know about you, but I feel that there's not really a balance. It's all way off on one side, and we kind of need to bring it back into the middle a little bit. So I'm basically giving people another choice in District 4 for the Republican ticket. So here we are.
Okay. All right, awesome. So why would you say people should vote for you over a guy who's been there for a while? He's been in office for quite a while.
Yeah, I think about 14 years.
Yeah, something like 14. That. Yeah.
The answer to your question is in the question, because he's been in there so long.
Okay.
I'm obviously a fan of term limits. Not necessarily, especially for a legislative seat where it's the 2 years. Not necessarily like one term, because I definitely believe that if you keep getting new people in there, nothing will get done. But definitely a few terms and then you're done. 2, 2, 4, 6 maybe. And because in my opinion, once you're kind of at a job for a few years, 3, 5 plus years, that's a career. That's a new career. So the incumbent is a career politician, in my opinion. Whatever we've done in the past, job-wise, once you take that plunge into a different, into this politics, you're kind of in a new career. So we need to get fresh voices in there. We need to get fresh ideas, fresh set of eyes, and that's not just state level; that's national level as well. So.
Right, absolutely. And I agree with you. Term limits are an absolute necessity across the board, nationally, state level. We see these people that have been in office for decades, and it's the same thing. They're not bringing anything to the table. We need fresh faces. And I also agree that if every election we're putting someone new there, they're not going to get as much done that someone that's there for, a couple of terms, 2, 3 terms, 6 years, 10 tops, I would say, for like a 2-year term, so 5 terms, no more than that. I think in 10 years, if you can't get something accomplished and really improve your district,
right?
yeah,
Yeah, this 40 years in 40 years in an office it's like mind blowing. Honestly, I can't relate to somebody like that. I don't see how they're relating to a younger generation,
right.
At all. I have no connect with that individual. They're not speaking for me. It's not a proper representation of everybody. So that's why we definitely just need a broader mix, and we need to keep that going. And
I absolutely agree with you. Absolutely. So what are some of the things that you would focus on, assuming you make it past the primary, get in past the general, and you're in office? What are some of the things that you would focus on?
Well, first, I would like to our Second Amendment has been violated, and I believe that we need to get that back on track. We have a red flag law in Indiana that's completely unfortunate and a violation of our Second Amendment. We also have gun-free zone issues that needs to go away. Those are ineffective.
Right. We've seen the evidence for that over and over.
Yeah. And so I would like to kind of get some of that stuff. And again, there are people, and by people I mean maybe one or two, that actually, and it's really sad in the House of Representatives, even as Republicans, there are Republicans that vote against our Second Amendment, because when they run for that office, I'm pro Second Amendment, and then they get there and they don't vote for the way that we would like them to vote. So again, they're misrepresenting their districts. So
right.
So definitely would like to work on that. I've already reached out to people who have reached out to me, and to have them get some language ready. So if I do win, and we get through the primary, that we can just get ready. We're in there to work. We're in there to fix things. We're in there to make changes. I'm not in there to mess around and waste people's tax dollars. I mean, that's just nuts. And then the other subject I'm really passionate about is fathers' rights, the non-custodial parents' rights, whether it's of mother or father, but fathers' rights for sure. We don't have anything really in Indiana that protects them specifically, and I would really like to see something done to help fathers with their children's and issues. I'd like to see child support transparency.
Okay.
That where both parents, non-custodial and custodial parent, have access to the funds and where they're spent in regards to the child.
Okay.
In Indiana, we already do have the debit card and direct deposit for child support payments. They can be kept in one account. You don't have to transfer it to your personal account, and it can be in equal access to both parties. And it's just it's not even about being nosy or anything like that. It's accountability. One person is paying for child support. They absolutely have a right to know, like, if that money is being spent on their child or children. And we don't have that at all. So.
Right. So just to play devil's advocate for a moment,
right.
I'm a step parent, and
okay.
I have a child who has a different biological father, who has never been involved in the child's life for more than a moment here and there. He doesn't pay child support anyway. But here's my point. So the money that's spent on the child, right, during the course of the year, even it doesn't come from child support, it comes from my pocket or my wife's pocket. Wouldn't then child support be replenishing what I already spent? Could the argument be made there? I'm with you on the vast majority of it. I just I always try to play devil's advocate for a little bit, just to see the arguments that could be made for the other side.
Right. Great questions. I have in my own personal, I can only use my own personal experience. I have experience in my own for myself with step parents and biological parents. And then my husband has children, so I have step parent experience with that, and then that whole scenario. So again, it needs to be even across the board, but obviously there's going to be those special circumstances where there's a parent who's not participating.
Right.
And again, the whole point of it is behind it is that each case is different. It is not a one size fits all at all, ever. It's never one size fits all. It needs to be addressed properly that way. You can't just look at a situation and have one, common, whatever, mother gets them.
Right. Yeah, Indiana has traditionally been a very mother custody friendly state. That is starting to change, but going way back, Indiana has always maintained, mother gets custody most of the time, unless there are extreme horrible circumstances. I have custody of my children, so I've seen it. The initial reaction from the court was almost always mom, right? Mom first, and then unless dad comes up with something, compelling, which in my case it was, but regardless, unless dad comes up with something compelling, very compelling, they almost always side with the mother. That's a known issue. And it's not only in Indiana, it's, in a lot of places. But I absolutely agree with you that there should be vastly more accountability, and we need a more equal distribution of rights.
There's no accountability. There's no consequences. No consequences for parents who completely screw over the other parent. Again, custodial, non-custodial, male, female. It's insane. And if you look through there's a ton of stuff on the books in Indiana. On paper, Indiana rocks. It looks awesome.
Right.
But no, it doesn't. It's like completely ignored. Right. And we've got these amazing and clear, simple to understand parenting time guidelines. Yeah,
and
what about those? They get completely ignored. What's the point of even writing that stuff if the judge will meh, whatever?
You're absolutely correct. Absolutely correct.
And if you go to the website and where the Indiana codes are, you can actually type in, and it'll pop up the words. If you type in for the best for the child, it comes up 172 times, the best interest of child, best interest of children. But that's completely not what's happening. It's a racket. It's all about money and the kids. Nobody can really honestly give a rip about the children. You have to be a fighter on both sides. You have to fight, and it's not supposed to be that way. And things need to be where it's just so, not because the judge says so, but because it is so. Right. And judges have way too much. I love the judiciary. I do not like tying judges' hands at all. That's not the purpose. But unfortunately, in these types of scenarios, they take an awful lot of control for themselves of how to run other people's lives. Right. And at the end of the day, it's not even about the mom or the dad or the grandma or the grandpa. It's about those kids. And we have so much damage that's been done, not only in Indiana, but everywhere. It's the family law system it's just a hot mess, and it's really, really unfortunate.
And you know what? I'm really, really glad that you're at least bringing it up.
Yes,
there's not nearly enough focus on that. Absolutely. Just to go back through the comments real quick, kind of get caught up. Michael Strauss says you have his 100% support.
I didn't even see those over there. Okay.
Yeah. Paul says the gun-free zones. Hurt Americans more than red flag laws, and he agrees that both are horrible. Put up earlier, he agrees with you that we definitely need accountability with child support. Connie would like to wish you good luck.
Thank you. Hi.
Heather waves. Mike Strauss wants to know, what about the right to audit? So basically, instead of seeing what was spent live, if you suspect it's not going toward the child, they would have to prove they spent $1,200 on the child if they received $1,200 in support.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I know that is, again, something that's already out there. Do you know how often that happens? Do you know can a father just walk into court and be like, hey, lady, I want to see where you spent this money? And she sheds a few tears. And what happens? Nothing.
You're right. So you're absolutely correct.
Audit process, but it's a huge process. It's very rare that it's going to happen unless, again, there's some crazy circumstances. And even then, there's no guarantee. It's just there's no guarantees. And all it does is waste time. It costs people money who might not even have money to spend on this stuff. This is crazy. some people have to go to court. My husband goes to court a lot. Some people go to court once a year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's just like I said, it's not a cookie cutter. I mean, it's not a one size fits all, but some of them are way extreme, and it's only people that are hurt are the kids.
So Connie says, depending on the lawyer and judges, CPS is inconsistent. I will agree with you there, Connie, because in my particular case, CPS actually came to the rescue of my children when they were in a bad situation with their mother. There are times that CPS does the job that they were set out to do. They save the child, they bring them where they need to be. But inconsistency is, I would agree, the biggest issue, and the lack of accountability to that office, because as we know, CPS has very little accountability.
Yeah, Kenneth, exactly. It's like the mafia of the
yeah.
It's definitely organized crime for sure.
It is. There are so many issues with the judicial system, and in order to do what we can do as voters, I think our primary job is to vote for people who have the same ideas that you're not going to agree with someone 100%. But you need to find someone that represents the things that you are passionate about. Like, for example, I love your shirt. I'm passionate about the Second Amendment. I have it. Yeah, I have, a flag with the Second Amendment on the back of my truck. I had it there long, long before I ran for office, because it's something that I truly believe in. I believe the Second Amendment is absolutely crucial to secure the rest of our rights. And I'm so glad. Yeah.
Amendment, we have nothing.
Right.
And because you can't change my mind. You can't talk around it.
Right. It's not something that you can. I've been called out by the left to some degree. Well, if we were allowed to have that, right, then everybody would be happy. Like, for example, the expanded background checks. What a lot of these lefties don't understand is that there already are background checks on every weapon sold through a federal firearms license holder. They're already there. They go crazy over this so-called gun show loophole that isn't there really. It's like
but one of the good things, I think, the silver lining out of this whole fiasco we're going through right now, which is a whole other subject, is that people who maybe were against the Second Amendment and they want all these red tape regulations on it, I think we're discovering, because they were becoming afraid. They were going out to purchase guns, and then they're realizing, wait a second, you mean I can't just go online and Amazon gives me a gun in a day?
Right.
Whoa. So I think out of this stuff going on, there is definitely maybe some people becoming enlightened in the actual purchasing of a firearm experience.
I agree wholeheartedly with you.
That could help us later in the year.
I agree. We have a number of people I've read about it that have gone into the shops, right? And they were like, okay, so, give me this. I'll take that. All right, let's go. And they're like, okay, fill this out. Wait, there's paperwork involved. I have to have a background check. You mean I can't just have it delivered?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then a delay, sometimes you get delayed, you get an FBI check. Yeah, there's already tons of regulations and tons of red tape.
Yes.
So it just blows my mind when people on top of that are like, oh, we need this. Like, it's already there, man. Like, back off.
Absolutely. And so I think that actually will help us moving forward. We hear tons of crazy stories coming out of California, right? About all the people that went to go and purchase, and they had lines around the block, and then they suddenly find out that all these policies that these people that they voted for enacted are making it hard.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot. I try to find the positive, and I think even though this whole virus situation is nuts, but I think a lot of good stuff can come out of it as well. I think a lot of sleeping people are waking up and seeing what's really going on, and that they've kind of been misled by our mainstream media, and that everything isn't what it seems. And we really have to swing back into that again. We have to get that conservative message out there. and get people, whatever they believe, even if they're on the left or the right, it doesn't even matter, that you have to start thinking for yourself again. You have to make decisions on your own. You have to read books. Remember books? Read some books. Research, watch YouTube videos, take that time and go down that trail and figure things out for yourself. Don't just flip on a channel and watch it 24/7, because it's just going to get you into that, and that's all you're going to believe and see.
Yes, wholeheartedly agree. It's really sad because people actually, at least a number of years ago, before the information age really became what it is now, where we have the wealth of human knowledge at our fingertips, when we used to have to go to the library, and you weren't allowed to check out the books from the research section. You had to scan, photocopy them, and take them home. People actually looked into stuff. They actually read the encyclopedia. They learned things. At least in my opinion, I've seen people accepting far more of what they're told rather than doing their own research. It's getting better now, but for many, many years, people, as long as the news said it, it had to be true.
Right. And we're getting to the point. I mean, we can all agree for sure that we're definitely in the 30 seconds or less. It has to be a video clip. It has to be clickbait caption. I want the whole article in the top. I don't want to read the actual article, because what you find too is when you do actually decide to read the article, sometimes the caption has nothing to do with the actual article. They're literally doing that to cause a problem and to get people fired up.
Right.
And so to bring it back, we have to just be individuals. We are a country, but it's the power of the individual, and we have to take our responsibility back. And again, back to accountability. We're all accountable, and we have to be accountable for ourselves and our families, and that's really it. It's our families, and again, that's why my slogan is God, Family, Country, because we're based on our unalienable rights are by our Creator. And those are not granted by government. Those were there. We're born free.
Thank you. Yes.
Born free. We're born.
Far too many people believe that the government is in charge of our rights and grants these rights to us rather than, exactly. I'm right there with you. Yes, Heather, look at that. Yeah, yes.
Yes, you guys, Heather Blohm is awesome. She's running for state rep, I think. I forget which district, down south. She checked it up too.
Yeah, she is awesome. Dave Iron says headlines are the truth. Not really. Mm-hmm. So with the family, then part of that is that even if we have broken families, that's just reality. Yeah. It doesn't matter. We can still be civil and get along and if our family units, whatever they look like, they look completely different. Again, for every situation is different. But if our family unit, whatever it is, isn't functioning at all in some kind of way, that everything else around is affected, from education, from politics, from policies, from anything is all affected by family and the people that are in our family. And then, of course, country, because, we're America and we kick ass. So here we are. That's right. I love this country. Where else in the world could you, just like my particular circumstance, drive the whole country, work in a prison, and advertise your views on your vehicle without having people, take you out of your home in the middle of the night, especially if those views are unpopular with a large portion of the population? There's nowhere else besides the US of A, right?
Right.
So how has this whole social distancing thing affected your campaign?
Great question. I've never run for an office before, so I really had no preconceptions of what I would be doing. I kind of just was going day by day. And so when the shelter in place and everything started happening, I was just like, okay. And I'm already pretty active on social media, but it's definitely been the crutch of it all. I think most of us can say that we would not really be anywhere right now if it wasn't for social media. So again, we have to use even though social media is like evil in a way, it's we're using it for good, hopefully. So,
Right.
but I've had to, it's just been word of mouth and people, and it's completely grassroots. And I suspended all donations during this time because I don't feel comfortable asking people for money when they're not working. That's just my personal belief, and I carried that into my campaign. So I haven't really had. I made a campaign online for the T-shirts. If people wanted to donate, they would at least get something for it.
Right. No, I understand.
100% people sharing, likes, and sharing my page is the only. And then like the mailers that went out today, I didn't even know that the U.S. term limits did that. I thought that was awesome. I was shocked. I was like, wow, they just sent this to all the people in my district, and thanks.
Awesome, right?
I know.
Yeah. So where can people find out more about you on your social media? You're on Facebook, I know that, because that's how I connected with you. Are you on any others? Twitter, Instagram, anything like that?
Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, and it's all the same, Bloom 2020. And my website is also bloom2020.com. So I try to make it pretty streamlined and easy.
Okay, so I want to make sure. I'm going to post this. Tell me if it's right. Bloom 2020, right?
Correct.
Okay, and then your website, you said, is bloom2020.com, right? I'll put that up there for everyone. Make sure if...
Yeah.
Well, oh, no. Hang on. No, I messed it up. Hold on.
It's okay.
It's my big fingers.
It's fine. It happens.
Okay, I got it right this time. There we go. So make sure you check out Sara. If I lived in her district, I would absolutely be voting for Sara. Unfortunately, I live in Michigan City, and yeah, I know, right? Paul said that you lost the H. I know, right? I'm telling you, my keyboard is out to sabotage me. I believe this firmly. You will not talk me out of it. The letters are switching places.
Yeah.
So what else would you like to tell people about you? Obviously, they can go to your website and learn more about you. We know that you strongly support the Second Amendment. You've talked about the things that you want to see change in Indiana. Is there anything else that you'd like to tell people, just in general, that will be watching this?
Just in regards to the campaign, is that I take this opportunity very seriously. And I'm just a person that lives in District 4 too, and I just decided to step up and run. And I like to, even if I don't win, if I could just maybe inspire one person or remind people that we don't have to be politicians to run for offices. We don't have to go to big fancy schools. We don't have to have 5 degrees in political science and every other, political type government, degrees and things. And that our life experience sometimes is good enough. And the desire and the passion for our country and just to stand up for what's right is enough. And just the support I've gotten just from running and putting myself out there is unbelievable. And I take it very seriously because, and I'm sure you do too, we're like new. They don't know us,
Oh, yeah.
and they're taking a chance on us, and they're supporting us, and like I said, using the social media platform to share us and get us out there, and that's awesome. And I don't take that for granted.
Right.
And as state representative, I mean, again, I've said this a lot. Like the job is in the title. The work is in the title. We are representing the people of our specific districts. And that's what they are voting for, somebody to represent them. And yes, like you said, not everyone's going to agree. You're going to try your best, and some people aren't going to always be happy, and that's normal. But you have to listen to the people, and they'll talk to you. I've talked to so many people, and I think that's another thing, especially nowadays and with all of this stuff going on, is you have to be accessible to voters. You just have to be. You have to be answering messages. I got 3 phone calls today from people, I think because the mailer went out and my phone number's on it.
Right.
And it was awesome. And I returned their calls. And 2 of them said that no politician has ever called them back. And, they're older people, they're older voters that have been voting for a while. And that's sad to me that a lot of times we get to those points where constituents write letters and all they get back is a cheap letter. Thank you for writing. Thank you. We got your email.
Right.
And then, their neighbor got the exact same letter. I think we have to get out of that too. And so I'm hoping if I get the opportunity that I would be able to maybe kind of smash through some things and we can create change. That we need to bring some stuff back. We need to just get rid of some stuff and shake up the system.
Absolutely. That's a really good point, and something that I've encountered a lot of actually is people that just reach out and they'll ask random questions, and some of them matter to them, some of them don't. It's just to see if you'll respond. And when you get back to them, I've heard directly from people that's like, you're the only person that has ever answered me as a real person, not some canned message, not some, staffer answering, but you yourself actually, responding, hey, here's what I believe. And that goes so far with people. It really does. And with today's technology, there's no reason that these people running for office, especially the ones that have already been in office, the ones that, get paid the big bucks, there's no reason they can't set up the technology so that they can actually just take, an hour a day, 2 hours a day, 2 hours a week, and respond to the people, the individual voters that are reaching out to them and saying, hey, I hear your voice. It matters to me.
Yeah. And it's especially because it's so easy with the social media, they're all owned by the same people, so they all are similar, but you can set up instant responses too. So I have that, and mine says welcome patriot. So that way, even though it's not me physically typing, they're getting an answer right away. And then I usually respond very quickly. And the top questions I get, in addition to just sometimes people send me videos, and just things they think I'll like or they want me to watch or whatever. But my top 3 questions are, do I support President Trump? What's my thoughts on the Second Amendment? And if I'm pro-life. Those are the ones I get the most. And then I talk to people, and usually they're just like, okay, thank you. You got my support. I just wanted to check or whatever. So. Right.
Well, we know how you feel about the Second Amendment. How do you feel do you support President Trump? We haven't heard that one.
I do support President Trump, and I do support the America First agenda. And as long as President Trump has America, he has our back, I have his back. The stuff that this guy, I'm sure, I know, he's not perfect by any means, but no one is perfect. No president has been perfect. Right. And the standards the bar that people have set for him is so high that they don't set for anybody else. And that, and that alone tells you he's doing something that's shaking the boat, because to get that response. Because you'll have one politician here doing something and everyone's like, and you got him doing something here and they're like, ah.
Right. Excellent description. You're absolutely right. I mean,
as long as as long as he continues that and putting America first, and he asks questions, he's fighting out there for us. He completely cut out the middleman. He talks to us on Twitter.
Yep.
There's some people that hate that. I'm like, why? I don't have to watch the news. I can be on Donald Trump's Twitter and find out what's going on directly from the president, Or I'm sure he's got staff at some time writing, but he's influencing them. He's telling them what to say or whatever. So the instant that he did that, I thought that was phenomenal. He cuts out the red tape and talks to the people directly all the time. He's always talking to us directly, and I think people need to appreciate that from a president of the United States talking to us like he's on Twitter, like, hey guys, what's up? This is stupid. This is great. Like, who's done that? Nobody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you there. He's taken so much heat for some of the things that he's tweeted, some of the stances that he's taken. But like I said from the beginning, and that's one of the main reasons why after the election, especially shortly after the election, my support for him only grew. I voted for him. I proudly say I voted for him, but my support for him only grew because of his direct communication with the American people. I've never seen another elected official do that, to directly communicate with all of us on a large platform and say, here's what's going on. Here's what I think. You may not agree, but this is what I think. And I love that.
Yeah. The man, I don't know. He doesn't sleep. And he, from day one, again, whether you hate the guy or love the guy, it makes you, any person has to stop and go, what were all the other presidents doing? Because he does like 5 things a day.
I know.
And other presidents are like, they maybe got 1 thing done in 4 years.
Right.
You're like,
right.
It really, if anything at all, it causes you, again, to hopefully kind of start asking more questions and going, well, wait a minute. He doesn't take a paycheck. Who does that? And he turns right around and donates the money back into the country in one fashion or the other. I mean, again, like a guy, love the guy, hate the guy. You have to take note on a few of these things a little bit and go, okay, that's different. That's a little different. So.
Oh yeah, you're absolutely correct. I mean, just the sheer amount of things that he's been able to get done in the time that he's been in office is mind-blowing. I mean, if this, just imagine how much he could have done if he had a Congress that actually supported the American people instead of working against the American people. It's mind-blowing. That's why I'm really hoping that we can get some good representatives into the United States Congress this election that are willing to step up and support what's best for this country, regardless of how you feel about the president. Do what's best for the country. Do what's best for your district first, and then the country after.
Yep.
So I know you said your time is kind of short, so I'll leave.
Oh, it's okay. It's fun. It's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Tim. I like my shirt too.
yeah. Timothy really likes your shirt, and Heather had said earlier, we do have some great candidates running across the state this year. I think this is going to be absolutely incredible. Assuming we can actually get to the polls on election day versus like in Michigan where they found a bunch of ballots in the trash, and Wisconsin where they found them tucked away in the post office. I mean, vote by mail, we know, is just ripe for abuse. And I understand the health issues and all of that, but we got to do, right?
Yeah. Evan. Oh, hi, cannabis. I support medicinal 100% for that.
Okay, excellent. That's he had posted that earlier. You were on a roll, so I wasn't gonna interrupt you. That's fine. But he does have a question. If you have a plan for the healthcare and drug prices and the issues with the VA.
A plan, not so much. Definitely, I support veterans, and just on like a local level and like a small level. I encourage people, as far as veterans go, is to support veteran-owned companies, support veterans that are out there, so trying to support their families, because a lot of times those companies in turn around and help veteran issues such as healthcare and mental health issues. So they use their own funds that they've earned through their entrepreneurship and then turn around and help veterans. So again, open up that free market and let our economy needs to work. But I mean, if you let capitalism and what's the word I'm looking for? This starts with an I might. It
happens to me all the time. I feel bad.
But allowing people to use their ideas and create
innovation.
Thank you, innovation.
Okay.
And support that at our local level, even or finding companies out in the country that are veteran-owned, Black Rifle Coffee Company, for example, or things of that nature, where they're having products, made in the USA. And they're supporting veterans, and then they turn right around and give that money right back to veterans.
Absolutely. Did you see, just out of curiosity, did you see their quarantine video that they made, Black Rifle Coffee, with all the different people people.
I might have. Remind me. What
It was
is
they did a little song where it was, I forgot what the tune it was set to, but the song was Quarantine, and it was like different people singing different verses.
I also am just my own personal thing is I like to support veteran-owned companies, but that aren't quiet about it, or companies that are maybe larger companies, but they're not quiet about their support of veterans. There's a lot of companies out there who have veteran discounts, or on Veterans Day, they support veterans one day a year.
Right.
So we also have to be, as far as like military and veterans and things of that nature, we have to be diligent and do our research again on what exactly do they mean when they say they support veterans, because one day a year to me isn't support. And I forgot what I was going to say.
That's okay. I'm right there with you. Okay. So I'm right there with you, because we see, virtue signaling from politicians, from companies, that's.
Good job, Paul. Yes, they don't advertise they give you a discount, but they don't advertise it. You have to beg for it. Right. You have to sign up and ask for it. So that's good. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think that's something that we've kind of gotten away from. The left, interestingly enough, really focused on, well, these companies supported Trump, so boycott them. These companies donated to his campaign, so boycott them. And on the one hand, really, but on the other hand, it gives us an opportunity to say, okay, well, you want to pick who you're going to, support or boycott or whatever. Maybe we should do the same. Maybe we should really pay more attention to where our money that's being paid to these companies is going to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't necessarily like the boycott thing. That's
right.
That's just words. Like,
right.
People can shop wherever we want. It's the part of America is you can go and do whatever you want. And there's always the argument, well, if you never shopped in the store at the first place, you can't really boycott it. Like you're just putting it out there to be aggressive.
Right.
All it comes down to is you work hard, you get a paycheck, and you can choose exactly where you want your money to go. Mm-hmm. And what happens is that we, as a consumer, for myself, I can not go to a certain store, but I don't have to talk about it. I'm just not going to go there. That's my choice.
Right.
I don't have to make a big stink about it and make people feel bad. That store has a right to exist. They have a right to sell things. I have a right to not go there. That's right. That's how that works. And that's what makes America great. So
absolutely.
Just make wise choices. And again, like we started at the beginning, to circle back, it's all about research and the individual. We have to take individual responsibility and be accountable. And that includes our money. Mm-hmm. I don't shop at certain places or buy certain products because of where they use my money after the fact. I choose not to.
Yeah.
And that's my choice.
Absolutely. And I think that's our right, our responsibility even as a person, is to make smart choices about who we're going to support. And all of us are guilty of it at some greater or lesser degree. I mean, look at Walmart and the way that they've expanded across the United States and ran, mom and pops out of business. And
right.
I'm sure all of us have shopped at Walmart at least once in our lifetime. If you haven't, you're extremely lucky, because they're everywhere. Sometimes you just need something, and that's the only option in the area. But Heather agrees that it is that simple.
Exactly. That's the question too, with regards to Walmart and a lot of other stuff going on. I was stationed at Fort Polk in Louisiana.
Oh, okay.
And if you've ever heard of Fort Polk or been to Fort Polk, there's nothing there. And of course, this was several years ago, so I don't know what's happening right now. Mm-hmm. But guess what? The only store was in Fort Polk for miles and miles and miles.
Walmart.
Mm-hmm. Why is that? Why do they always seem to pop up in the middle of nowhere?
Right.
And there's no other, no Targets, no, whatever that state, every state has a different department store or whatever. So those are always, it caught my attention too. Is like, why is Walmart everywhere?
Right. And
what?
Yeah. That's a great point, because there are many rural communities that don't have a choice. They can't not shop at Walmart because it's the only thing for many miles around. And I feel for them. Luckily, Michigan City and your area, we have options. We can go to, to Target or Meijer or whatever the place is locally that you need a big box store. There it is. Or, shop local if possible. That's what I try to do. But sometimes it's just not an option. But if we are able to look into these places and see where our money goes, I think that that's the responsible thing to do. So I definitely agree with you there.
And then I don't see any other main questions. Did you?
No, better hurry up. If anybody has any additional questions for Sara, she's already here twice as long as she said she would be. So I greatly appreciate that.
That's okay. It's been fun, like I said.
See, isn't it cool? I will say this. I actually enjoy this part of the transition that I've had to make, the changes that I've had to make to my campaign. It gives me an opportunity. Well, I'd love to be able to go to big meet and greets and, press the flesh and all that. In some ways, this is more personal. People get to see you at home, kicking back, being yourself. You're not all dressed up in the suit.
No. Well, that's an excellent point, actually, that you brought that up, because I've been a little frustrated with this whole I don't agree with the whole we're in this together thing, because that's a bunch of BS, because we're not, like, it's not all the same. Again, not all the same. We're not all cookie cutter. Like, everyone's different. So when it's really hard when they close down businesses, hair salons, makeup, all that kind of stuff. But yet we're constantly confronted with people who have their hair done, who have their makeup done, who have their clothes are clean and all pressed. But we aren't allowed. Us peasants aren't allowed to. Like, I got my grays are popping, but the powers that be all look amazing, and they have personal stylists. But yet we're not allowed. So it is nice to see real people at our homes. We're just people, and we're putting ourselves out there, and we're trying to unite people and get a voice out there to represent, a different base of people that have been ignored for way too long. And even if there's people in the district that are, if it's a Republican district, you can still be ignored. You can still have a Republican representative who completely ignores the people that voted for them. And that's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. It's not okay. And we can't tolerate it. We've gotten to a point in our life, in our society, and that we can no longer just let things go on. It's okay. I'll wait till next time. There's nothing I can do about it. No, there is absolutely stuff. You can speak up. You can get out there, you can participate, you can run for offices. And again, like I say, even if it's a school board, run for something, get involved, get in there, because even if you feel like you're small and you don't matter, you do matter, and you're going to help somebody else, and you're going to speak for someone else, and someone else is going to see you and go, oh, that's my person. I like what they're saying.
Yes, absolutely. That's the thing that I found too, kind of going back to what you were saying about people reaching out and them taking the time to share your message. I appreciate that far more than a few dollars from this person, or especially like the big donations from the companies that donate to everyone, right? Especially post primary. They're going to donate to both sides, so they're covered regardless. It doesn't mean anything to them. But the people who actually take the time to connect with you, to share your message, to say, I truly believe in what this person has to say. To me, that's the thing that gets me. That's like, wow. I really and truly appreciate everyone that's doing that and spending their time to spread the message for us.
Right. And again, and I'm not sure about you, but I know for myself, I have maybe $100 in my campaign account, and I haven't been offered any money from anybody as far as corporations or anything.
Right.
But at the same time, I wouldn't take it either. Even when I filled out some surveys and they ask you, would you accept the money from this PAC or that PAC? And I said no. I don't. that ties you to a company or a group, and again, that's not okay. And I would be a complete hypocrite if I'm sitting here saying, oh yeah, grassroots, or oh yeah, I'm talking for the people, and then I start taking money from people who going to try to control me or put me in their pocket, where, oh, we got this representative because I just gave her, $5,000 or whatever the case is. But so
yeah, absolutely.
We gotta be true and change. You can't change if you're just gonna end up being like everybody else. If you're just gonna get into office and then you're in office and you forget and you wave goodbye to everybody who got you there. So
yeah, and so many of them do that. So many of the ones who claim that they're grassroots and for the people, they get into this office and then they forget all about the people who actually got them there. They see these big, these big perk platters that these other representatives are getting, and it's like, how can I get some of that? And they forget about the people that they're actually supposed to be there representing.
Right. Yeah, and it would have been really nice if somebody in Indiana would have stood up and furloughed their paycheck or donated it to a cause and said, I'm not taking my money, I'm donating it to a charity in Indiana that's helping people eat. Did anybody do that? Not to my knowledge.
No, not to my knowledge.
Even if, I don't know what the rules are as far as like how that works. If you just stop your paycheck, I don't know how that works, but even just maybe even saying it would have been nice for some people. And I know there was a thing with the governor not wearing a mask in that picture, and some people were torn, like, oh, who cares? He has a right to not wear a mask. It's not the mask is not people's problem. People need to know that their leaders are struggling with them. Mm-hmm. And even though, yes, the governor has a right to wear a mask or not, he's never forced people to wear masks. I got you. But as a person, and people are going to have a problem with it because they don't feel he's struggling with them. Right. They want to feel that he's not above us, that he's equal with us, that he's hanging out with us. Right. And if he's the same voice who's telling us what to do, but even like we learn in the military, like it's perception is everything. Yeah. Perception is everything. It doesn't matter your intent. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter where your heart is. Yeah. It matters what people can see, because they're all going to perceive it differently. And if we look at a leader who just 5 minutes ago told us about wearing masks and we're shutting stuff down and we're not opening this and we're opening that, and then they take a selfie in a restaurant without social distancing and without a mask, that's all they're going to see, and they're going to feel betrayed. Yeah. And I feel that again, a lot of times people forget that. Like you get into an office and that's what we need to get rid of. And whether we start small here in Indiana and spread it out, or other states, there's a lot of awesome candidates across the country that are speaking out. A lot of conservative voices have stepped up, and there's some of them are getting through, some of them aren't, but their voice and platform is out there. And all that does is it encourages other people, because they're going to see, oh, look, that school teacher, that teaches my kids kindergarten decided to run for office. I can do it too. Right. Or whatever. So
exactly. And, I don't know if you know Chris Wells. He is probably the most down to earth. He's a city councilman, right? Mm-hmm. But he has live streams from the meetings and shows people what's going on. And it's that degree of transparency that I believe that we need from everybody. We see these politicians that set up the rules and then violate their own rules. Like the mayor of Chicago, the mayor of Hammond, all of these people say, do this, you do that, but I'm going to do this, and the people are tired of it. I'm sick of it. I know that. And a lot of people have said they agree. It's time to get some people that are truly in it with us, that say, yeah, this sucks. I know we don't want to have this, but I'm willing to stick to everything that I told you need to do. Exactly.
Or even if like I get the whole, I'm in front of the camera, my hair needs to look good, I got you. I get it. Then you know what? Show us a video of your wife cutting your hair at home. Show us a video of your son cutting your hair, or or whoever, make it real where yes, I'm getting my hair cut. I have to be on camera, but look, we're at home, we're social, we're sheltering in place, and I'm trusting my wife who doesn't know how to do hair to cut my hair. Ha ha ha. That's going to get a lot more people on your side than just showing up to press conferences looking 100% when people are not working and we look like crap,
Oh, absolutely.
Out being fat at home, but you look amazing and going to the gym. America's going to have a problem with that. And there are a lot of people are starting to stand up, and it's really hard for an American to hear over and over again, you can't do, but I can do, is not going to go very far for very long.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to say it again. I wish I lived, I wish you were running for my district, actually, because we've had the same person for many, many years. Pat Boy, she represents Michigan City. I guess she's extremely popular. I met her once. That's it. So I don't know, but she, so Paul agrees with you. I think everyone listening does. Dave mentioned the party that I don't know if people have heard about, but I've talked about it before. We won't dwell on it. It was really a pleasure having you on the show. I was so glad.
So fun.
So I hope that we'll have an opportunity to do some more. I don't know if you heard, but they're really leaning towards having the delegation in Indianapolis online. Before you go, I'm curious about your thoughts on that, because there's this whole deal with the Attorney General, right? And we have Curtis Hill currently, and there's more people, and I guess Todd Rokita is thinking about jumping in the race, and a virtual delegation would kind of skew the balance of power there a little bit. What's your take on that?
I'm not 100%. I haven't heard anything about that, so I'd have to check in on that. But in regards to that whole big picture, is paying people, they need to show up to places, and I'm not really 100% on this whole virtual, Congress and virtual. People need to show up and just be physically present, and not use this virus as an excuse to get away with things that. Right. It's not
Heather,
it's not going to be pretty.
Yeah. Heather's running as a delegate as well. I get nervous whenever it comes to anything that changes the possibility of what it would be were it to be held normally. That's why I asked. I was just curious. And she pointed out that Krupp did drop out. He's being replaced by a guy named Harter. Paul, here's the thing. I don't know definitively if Rokita is going to run for AG or not, but I will say that as a delegate, I got a phone call today doing a survey asking if Todd Rokita ran, if he was on the ballot, who would I vote for? Which makes me believe they're doing, the research to see whether or not it's a good idea to run. So I don't know. He's also linked a couple of articles that had mentioned it. I think he's still trying to decide what he's going to do. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that whole thing. I know that he has a lot of name recognition, and I'd be interested in having him on the show to talk to if that becomes a possibility. But I'll leave it to you for the last minute or so you can say anything else that you want to say. Go visit Sara's website. Seriously.
Yep. Message me anytime. Text me, call me, whatever. I'm open. But this was really fun again. Thank you for inviting me. I need to turn my lights on. It's all got dark really quick.
Yeah, I saw that. We just kind of went a little bit.
All right. I'll see you. All right. Bye, guys. Thank you.
We appreciate it. Thank you. So, again, Sara Blohm, and now that I know how to say it correctly, running for District 4, which I had a little wrong on where that was. Oops. So yeah, just to kind of wrap up with the whole AG thing, and make sure that you check out her issues page and her website. Give her a follow if you haven't already. By all means, check out Edmund Soliday, the incumbent. I haven't met him. I don't know him. I follow Sara on Facebook. I dig what she says regarding the Second Amendment and some of the other things that she said. So yeah, and she's involved. She supports veterans. We line up. I mean, we line up on our beliefs on many things. So Heather, to answer your question on Westerkamp, I like John Westerkamp. I actually met him in person. I had him on the show earlier. Feel free to check out that episode. He came on, talked to us for a while. He was also interviewed by the Porter Republican Party yesterday, I believe. You may want to give that a look. I like the guy. He's very young, though, and he doesn't have as much experience as either Hill or Todd Rokita. So I don't know. It'll be an interesting race. It really will, especially given all the social distancing and the fact that our delegation maybe being held virtually. It's interesting. There's a lot going into this. And I'm gonna talk about the whole Krupp thing for a minute. I went down to Indianapolis for the Congress of Counties, and while there, I was able to meet Adam Krupp and John Westerkamp and their wives. They were both there. Adam Krupp actually had the hospitality suite, and so we were able to go in, free bar, all that, some shrimp cocktail and little appetizers. And I got a whole bunch of swag from him. I got multiple cups. So, but come to find out that he hadn't paid the $10,000 entry for AG. Okay, fair enough. Well, then to my understanding, he wasn't as popular as he thought he'd be, or for some other reason, dropped out and endorsed this new guy, Harter, Harter. I had never heard of the guy. I don't know him personally. I hadn't met him when I was down at Congress of Counties, so I don't know anything about him. I had reached out to both Adam Krupp and John Westerkamp to appear on the show. Mr. Westerkamp answered and was on. So I don't know anything about Harter. I do know he has very close to the same amount of experience as Westerkamp does. I'd be interested to find out where he stands on things like civil forfeiture and things like that. That's really legislatively and like job focus wise the only thing that I don't personally agree with Curtis Hill on. I am not a fan of civil forfeiture laws. I don't like the way that it's set up. I think it punishes a lot of people, and I think it's unconstitutional. The state doesn't agree with you or the Supreme Court doesn't agree. It doesn't matter if they agree with me or not. That's how I feel. I am against it in every way, shape, and form. Here's the thing. We shouldn't have to prove that something isn't being used for a purpose. Innocent until proven guilty. The state should have to prove that something is being used illicitly in order to even remotely qualify for something like that. So I'm going to wrap up. Thanks everybody for coming out. I have a little bit of email survey that I have to finish up, and I'm getting potentially some upgrades to the area and sound and stream wise and stuff. So yeah. Oh, Heather says, thank you for taking the time to answer. Of course. And if anybody has any questions, don't hesitate to ask. You can ask me here during the stream, or you can email me at talk@dionbergeron.com if you want to have me answer your questions, or if you want to request an appearance on the show for yourself or someone else. If you think, this person or that person would make a great guest, I'm a big fan in giving people the opportunity to get to know people that are running for office, especially, but not just that, the people of our communities. Especially right now, we can't go knock doors, right? It's not like I can go down the street and knock. Well, I guess in some areas I technically could. Michigan City, not so much. The order is still in place until at least tomorrow. Be interested to see what the mayor does on that. There are some discussions that he may be extending it. I hope not. Me personally, I hope not. We've got to get our people back to work. So it is what it is. I appreciate everyone coming out. If I'm going to be delivering signs later this week, it should be done at the latest Monday. There were some issues with the printing, but it's all ironed out now. Should be done very soon. I don't have a setup necessarily for tomorrow's show yet, and Portage Republicans Portage are doing the interview tomorrow, I believe, with Mr. Harder. So I'm probably just going to do a quick video tomorrow night and say, Heather said hi. She's over off camera. Maybe do you want to watch show or something? Watch
I was cooking dinner in the oven. So
yeah, she was cooking dinner. So, but I appreciate everybody. We will talk soon, and feel free to catch tomorrow's show on replay. Watch the interview with Harder, and I think it's really good what they're doing. The Porter County Party. I like it. There's a reason I like it, because. Yeah. So anyway, I'll talk to everybody. I kind of wish they hadn't done it at 7 though, because then my viewers have to pick between watching their favorite Republican candidate for District 1 and watching Porter County. I mean, obviously I'm the choice. I mean, no. All right. Talk to everybody soon. God bless you, and God bless the USA.